What's up, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of All the Mod 7. And today, on this very rainy day, we are going to get started with Botania. Now, Botania is, it's kind of wild. I'm not gonna lie. When I first jumped into Botania, it felt kind of difficult and it was kind of something that took a little bit to get into. So today I'm gonna make it as easy as I possibly can to show you some setups and some things that you can do to make your mana gathering and everything as easy as possible. And if you like these videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I am excited to do more mod packs if I can. I'm excited to do more mod packs, I promise. Let's get started. Okay. So, maybe on your adventure, you have already run into something called the Lexica Botania. The Lexica Botania is basically the starter's book for Botania. Obviously, if we come over here to the Botania questline, we can come down here and you can actually get this as a reward for collecting these flowers. So you collect any Botania flower and it should, in theory, once you collect it, give you rewards. Now, the flower pouch I've actually never used because it never works. Like if I teleported from one dimension to another, it'd delete all the flowers in there, so I never kept them. But it's there if you want it. It's if you want it. It's also inside of the eccentric tome that you got. But I'm not gonna really follow the quest line because I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit, minus the mana lens stuff that's kind of like, well, bro, what? But we're gonna start out by going and collecting some flowers. Now, I already actually have some flowers. If we do at Botania here, I already have a couple of flowers, but we don't really have a whole lot that I need, and I'm gonna need a decent amount. And I'll explain kind of what I have in my inventory a little bit later on what we need. Let's go get some flowers. Literally the best place to get flowers is just to go to the mining world, like legit. Is everything okay over there? Oh, this is where my quarry was. Oh, God. Yeah, literally the best place ever. And I'm gonna show you guys a trick. There's not really a reason for you to get all the different colors of flowers. You really only need to get red, orange, cyan, and pink. And then we can make ourselves some of these mystical flower seeds using mystical agriculture. So we are going to go and look for red, orange. Let me go ahead and just tag these so I can remember. Red, orange, pink, and cyan. Let's see if we can do... Well, there's the cyan flower. Don't need you, yellow. I'm just grabbing white just in case I need them too. Oh, here's red. So now we just need orange and pink. Is that orange? Woo! For those who might not know, I'm colorblind, so I have a hard time with colors. It's not that I'm like can't see colors at all, and a lot of people would probably consider it more of color deficient, but I can't really see like reds and greens kind of mixed together. Is this orange? This is orange. A lot of colors just kind of mix in together, so for me it's like anything with colors just kind of makes things a little bit more difficult than it should be. That is definitely not pink. I thought that was pink. I was like, oh, is that pink? Okay, so let's see here. We have orange, we have pink. When do we get lime? We have cyan, and we have red. I think we need a couple of more of the pink. Let's check. If I click this button, I wonder how many I can make. Because you need 4 to make the base. Oh, I have 8, so that's enough for 2 seeds. That should be perfect. Like I said, you don't have to get the rest of these colored flowers if you're using mystical agriculture. Or if you just feel like getting a bunch of flowers, go get you some flowers. I ain't telling you how to live your life. Go get your flowers. Okay, mystical flower seeds take 4 of these flower agglomeratio. I don't know how to say that, but I'm guessing that's the closest you can get. So let's go ahead and make these. Why is it always raining? Beautiful. Once we have our seeds going, I went ahead and put them in my photogenic insulators. I need to make more of these, but this is just kind of the way I have things set up right now. These will make these little flower essences, which are actually really, really cool. The cool thing about these is you can make any of the Botania flowers with these. So it's like you don't even have to go out flower hunting if you don't want to. But there is one annoying thing that you have to do. You have to get the recipe for every single flower and every single petal. But you could do that. You can make it. See, each one of these have a recipe, right? Super cool. So whatever flowers that you need, you can make a bunch of with the essences. You just have to have the recipes for them. Now, while it's annoying at first, I promise you it's totally worth it. Let me show you the first one, what I would do or how I would do it. What you can do is you can come in here and just make the recipe. But what you can also do is you can come over here and we type in petal or even just hit U on these just like this. and then get the petal recipe as well. So just like this right here, there is a petal recipe that you can use. You want to get the petal recipe for the flower itself too. Just go ahead and double it up. I'm telling you, it's worth it. So I'm just going to type in petal, so that way I can just get all the ones like this and start here and just get all the recipes in. Make sure that you're getting the normal flowers and not the tall ones, because that's important. And good luck to you. Okay, we have all of the flowers and all of the petals. Maybe, hopefully, I hope that's all of them. And now we can get started making flowers with Botania. I'm excited, kind of. It's a whole lot better when I'm not speed running things and I'm just able to relax and make things and just kind of make it look pretty and stuff. So the first thing you gotta have is a petal apothecary. So if I open this up in my actual thing that I can make things out of, my little crafting terminal, you can just click this and bam, we have a petal apothecary. Now, I don't know how to automate this with refined storage. I know I have done it where it does it one at a time, but it's actually very annoying to set up like that. And for me, I just kind of prefer not even worrying about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and stick this right inside of here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself some infinite water sources here. So just like this, what this will do is it'll fill this up, and I'm just going to keep this in the ground here. So I'm just going to go ahead and bust these out. And we should be able to make ourselves some infinite water here, just like this. Now we are gonna put a piece of dirt back right in the middle so I can walk up here. This is gonna be kind of like my little petal altar. It's gonna be pretty cool. So the first thing that you wanna make is called a pure daisy. Pure daisies are the start of pretty much everything in Botania. It makes the living wood and what is it called? It's called living rock. Yeah, living wood and living rock. That's what it makes. To make this, you're going to need a seed. It doesn't show you here, but you need 4 of these white petals here, or just the mushrooms, whichever one. So now I can just come in here and type in white and then grab the petals here. I can craft. Let's say if I want to craft, let's start with 2 of them. So that means I need 8 of these. And I can hit start and it'll just automatically make me these petals, which is dope. We're also going to need some seeds, so I'm going to grab those out, and then I'm going to show you something that will make it so much easier overall. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss these in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we throw a seed and we get a flower. Because it's in the water, it automatically makes us that pure daisy. But you see how it says right click with an empty hand to add the recipe back? If I go ahead and move this and right click, throw this back in, right click, and if I had the recipe and I had everything that I needed for it, I'd be able to just continuously do this over and over. Excuse me! Do you want to celebrate Darko's birthday by any chance? Are you somebody that wants to celebrate Darko's birthday? Yes or no? Nothing happened, I promise. So before we make anything else with this petal apothecary, I actually do want to automate setting up a couple of different things. I want to actually automate the pure daisies and making ourselves some living rock and living wood. And it's actually very easy to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by saying, okay, where do I want to make this? I do like this little 3x3 area that I've got going over here for the petal apothecary. So what it is apothecary. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to follow that suit and I'm going to move over a couple just to make it look a little bit better. I'm going to put a daisy here and then I'm going to go over like this and put a daisy here. So the daisy works in basically like a crafting table. So a 3x3 area. So all around except for the middle here, obviously with a daisy, it's going to create whatever the responding block is. So if it's stone, it will create living stone. If it's wood, it'll create living wood. So let's go ahead and grab us out a stack of stone and let's grab us out a stack of oak logs. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to place these around to show you. See these little particles all around them? That means it's working. So I actually might make this go down one because I don't like that it's just kind of sitting up like this, but we're going to have like a whole contraption all over this. So now we just wait, and after a little bit, this will go ahead and change into the stone, the living stone, and the living wood. There it goes. And then it should do the same thing over here. Boop, 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 boop. We're going to grab one apiece here, just like this. And now that we have both of these and it's completed the quest with it, we're going to go ahead and set up the automation for this. So like I was saying, I'm actually going to go ahead and move these down here. So I'm going to take and move the daisy and everything down one. Oh my God, I was fast. What just happened? Now I'm going to put these daisies in the hole just like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this up to where it's automated using refined storage. So on this side, I'm going to convert all of these into living wood. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to take and put a destructor on top of it. But I want to set this to be a whitelist. And I want to make sure that we set this to living wood logs. So that way it only works with living wood logs. I'll put a speed upgrade in there. And then we're going to do this for all of these. And now we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to place our stone down and then set up these destructors over top of it as well. And we want to set these just like we just did, but instead of the wood, we're going to set this to living rock. So now that we have all of our destructors set up, we need to set up our constructors. So we need to go underneath here. Don't do like me and break your daisy. And now, with our constructors, we're going to put each of these underneath here just like this, and we want to make sure that we set it to whatever it is above it. So like this will be oak logs inside of here, and you don't have to set anything up on the left side, so that's kind of nice. But we're just going to set this up for all 16 of these. Okay, now that they're all set up, we need to pull these back out and connect it to our system. We do have a connection right here. I guess wouldn't hurt, but that's going to look a little bit crazier. So I don't know if I want to do that or not. I'm going to set the receiver right here, and then I'll dig this out and connect it here. And now let's just link it up. And now it should be working. Let's watch it for a second. So what's going to happen is it's going to, because we set a whitelist for each of these, what's going to happen is when it goes to read whatever it is that's underneath it, it'll say, okay, it has to be living wood or living rock. Otherwise, it won't break it. And then once it transforms, the system automatically kicks in and breaks it. And then replaces all of everything that it breaks with whatever it is that you want to continue working towards or building. Now you could set this up with a requester to say, hey, I only want X amount of living wood and living stone, because right now it's going to kind of go through all of the stone and wood that I have. And I'm not too upset about that. I'm not worried about it because it should be perfectly fine. I should have plenty of enough. So now that we have our living stone and living wood, we're going to go ahead and start making the next few things that we're going to need. So one of the things we need is called a mana pool. I already have the recipe here. If we click in here, it's just basically this recipe is very simple, just living rock, and we can make these. This is a relatively easy recipe. I'm going to go ahead and make 4. And then what I'm going to make is something called a mana splitter. The mana splitter takes 2 mana steel ingots. Now I've found some mana steel while I was out adventuring, and you can find it in chests and everything everywhere you go. But this is kind of what I'm going to start with. Just 1 mana splitter rather, and 4 mana pools. The mana pools are basically where you store any of your mana that you get whenever whenever you make mana and stuff. And the splitter actually just divides whatever up that it gets shot at. So basically it feeds energy or mana in and then splits it up among 4 sides. So these two will work together, which is cool. Next up, we're going to go ahead and make ourselves something called the Wand of the Forest. It's right here, and I actually don't have this recipe ready to go because I need these twigs, which takes stripped living wood or just living wood logs. And we're going to need 2, I think of these, 2, 3. Okay, 3 of these. And then we're going to need those petals right here. So we need, I guess it could just be any kind of petal. If I just type in green and turn these into petals here, I should be able to make it with this. There we go. Wand of the Forest. We're going to need that. We're also going to need something called a mana spreader. Again, we're going to need some petals here. Any kind of petals will work. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of these, about 4. And I'll explain what these do here in a little bit. Just to get set up before we get into anything else, we're also going to make these living wood crates, or rather these open crates. They're made out of living wood, so if I type in open crate here, I've already got the recipe ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and craft about 5 of these because I'm going to need them. The way we make mana in Botania is that you actually have to make flowers that usually consume something or do something with an item or something around it, and it will create mana based off of it. Just think of it like converting energy, basically. That's pretty much all it is. So there are a ton of different generating flowers that you can use, and I'm going to go over the basic ones that you can make. Nothing too special, nothing too crazy. That way we could get started with some basic mana generation. And there are 2 of probably the most used flowers that people use to generate mana. Just depends on what you've done before. There's the endoflame, so that's going to be basically what we're going to use for our majority of our mana production. And then we have the hydrangeas. Is that how you say it? Hydrangeas. It's basically just a water flower that consumes water blocks, like source water blocks around it, and we'll just produce mana over time. And then eventually it will die out and then you'll need to get another one. But I'm going to start with the hydros first because they're relatively easy to make. They're not that big of a deal and they work off of water. And if you're just starting in the very beginning, it's going to be, I mean, you can get infinite water sources pretty much anywhere. So let's go ahead and make these. So this one is going to take some blue and some shimmering, looks like it's cyan. So just blue petals and cyan petals. So let's go ahead and grab a bunch of those. So in our petal apothecary here, we're just going to toss in the blue, 2 blues, 2 cyans, a seed, and there we go. There's our hydro. I'm going to make 4 of these. And there we are. 4 of them. So how we set these flowers up is very simple. So let's say we want to set it up right here. If we place this down, basically, in every direction, like this, it's going to suck up a water source block once it's connected to mana and everything. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to need to get some water buckets. I'm going to show you how this works. So what if, because it sucks up those water source blocks, you can do something like this, so that you can create a water source block in every direction like this, right? And with this setup, basically, anytime it pulls one of those source blocks on the sides here, it will automatically refill it back because we already have this right here set up, right? Because these will regen basically. It'll just create the source block back and then the hydros can just pretty much work forever. So we can take this a step further and think of it like this. Now, we just need to make this 4x4 right here, or 2x2 for each one of these flowers. Cool, right? Now that we have this set up, this looks kind of dope. But now we need to give a way for these hydros here to produce mana for us to put into a pool. I actually don't like that there's not a center, so I'm actually going to go ahead and make 2 more of those hydros and set this pool up a little bit better. And now we have an obvious center. Let's go ahead and place this to where I can start building up. To follow suit here, we're going to put the mana splitter right here. Then I'm going to put these pools. Oh my god, I'm fast. To get mana, basically these have to produce mana, then you take mana spreaders and shoot them into the splitter here, right? You can shoot them directly into the pools, and it does matter if there is something in the way, so keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take 2 of our mana spreaders here, and I'm going to just take some blocks just for the meantime to kind of go up with it. So what I'll do is I'll go up like this a couple of blocks on each of these sides where I want to put the mana spreader, and then I'm going to put the spreader here and one here. That way it doesn't actually just hit the pool, and we're going to double check here in a second. We're going to take that wand of the forest and make sure that we're in bind mode, and then we're going to shift click the spreader, and then we're going to shoot it to the splitter here. See, just like that. It should go directly into the splitter and then split everything among the pools. If not, we can always move it. So now we have to attach these flowers to the spreaders. So we have 6 flowers. So what we could do is we can take 3 from each side here. So this one, we're going to shift click and then here. And then that should actually make it where it sucks up those water blocks. Do the same thing here. So click here. And we're going to do this for each of these flowers. So there's those 3. And then now these 3 can shoot to this one. And as you see, as it shoots those little beams, that's it delivering the mana that it gets into the pools over here. And because it's set up properly, it is actually splitting all of the mana into these 4. I just realized I actually made this off-centered. Just so you know, if you break these, you lose the mana inside, but I mean, we just started, so I'm not upset about it. Just got to make sure we bind these spreaders back to this splitter, and we should start seeing some mana go inside of these. There we go. Sweet. So this is just a basic hydro farm. It's nothing special, nothing too crazy. And it will just work until these flowers here, the hydros, pretty much die. What you can do is you can make yourself a good healthy stock of hydros and then put a constructor on top of each one of these and connect it. And what that'll do is it'll say once the hydros are pretty much used up, die out, they'll just automatically be replaced with another one, and that way you have an infinite setup going. Now, these are very slow. Nothing really happens here. Like, these are incredibly slow. They take forever, and as you see, these things are barely having any mana inside of them, and these are all empty, making sure that each one of these have been used up, or linked at least. And you can see that we're generating a very, very small amount of mana. If you take that wand and look inside, you can see there's just a little itty bitty little tick. There's nothing there. So we're gonna make mana a little bit faster. And the fastest way, in my opinion, to grow it early in the game is making these endoflames. Now, endoflames just take brown petals and red petals and a gray petal. So we have 2 browns, 1 red, and 1 gray. So I'm gonna make 12 of these. Turns out it's actually light gray petals, and I made the wrong color petals. How about that? 1 gray, 2 browns, and 1 red, and a seed will give us an endoflame. So let's keep doing that. All right, we have 12. And how we're gonna set this up, basically how this flower works. So let me just show you. I'm gonna place down a pressure plate, but I'm gonna surround this like this, and I'm going to take and grab a piece of coal. So any kind of coal, charcoal works too. I'm going to throw a piece of coal in, and what happens is these will suck the coal up once they're connected, and we'll have to connect them. But basically, this is how I'm going to set this up. Let me make sure I line this up. So let me go ahead and place everything that I need real quick. I'm going to set this up a little bit differently. I just set it up, but basically I want to put these in the corners like this. And the reasons why is because we're going to have to get a transmitter for each one of these pressure plates. Then I'm going to rotate this until it goes to that pressure plate. And then we're going to make sure that these are set to a channel. So if I right click, that one's set to channel 4, this one's set to channel 5, and this one's set to channel 6. Now I want to take a receiver for each of these and set these up. So one here, channel 6, channel 5, and channel 4. So with channel 4, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up a couple of blocks to about right here. And this is where I'm going to put my open crate, right on top. On top of this right here, I'm just going to place down a hopper. And then in front of that hopper, I'm going to place down this receiver. I want to make sure that I place it directly in front of it. So not like that. Place it just like this. And I'm going to put the receiver facing that way. And then we're going to do this for each of them. Make sure we line up the proper signals. That was number 5. And then this should be 6. Then we place our hoppers. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to set up and connect to our system right here. So on each one of these hoppers, we're going to put an exporter. And inside of this exporter, we're going to need to make some stack upgrades and blocks of coal. So in here, we're going to just go ahead and place a block of coal. We're going to go ahead and put some speed upgrades in here and a stack upgrade. And we're going to do this to each of them. And now we just connect these up. And just because I don't want cables running everywhere, I'm just going to go ahead and make another one of these network receivers. Let me turn off my magnet upgrade. And what's happening is these are basically all falling onto these plates. You see like this? The reason why there's a distance in between these right now is because these basically what happen is that these will, the further up they are, the longer that they're allowed to fall. Whenever they're allowed to fall longer, the more that will come out, and it basically makes up for each one of these flowers can consume X amount of burning coal, right? So basically what happens is it'll drop as many as it can, and then once it gets eaten up and all of the flowers eat it up, it will consume it and then take and activate this again and drop it. So if you didn't know how hoppers work, and I think we've talked about it before, but hoppers, if you give them a redstone signal, they make it where it doesn't drop any more than 1, right? So what happens is these guys have all these blocks of coal inside of it, and as long as there's a redstone signal, which it's getting one from those plates down here, it makes it where it doesn't drop anymore. So it basically closes it off. But as soon as that redstone signal is gone and those blocks are no longer there, this will then activate the hopper to drop a couple more into these open crates. Open crates make it where they drop it into the world 1 item at a time, which is pretty cool. So for us to be able to set this up to where it will actually start consuming these, we're going to need our mana spreaders and we're going to need our wand of the forest. So just to line this up, we want to set this up about the same height that we did over there. So now we just want to connect all of this. Right now I want to try and keep those plates. I want to keep them on there as much as I can. I don't want to pull that coal off, so that way I can at least connect these. And then we're going to connect the mana spreader over here. Same thing for here. Make sure these are shooting the right place, and now these will start eating these up. Each one of these are going to get 6 flame or endoflames a piece. Actually, yep, each one of them should get 6. And as we see, these endoflames ate them up. We come over here and look, all of the mana is out of it, and it's all in this mana spreader. You see how much it's filling up? As soon as it consumes it, it's going to take and start shooting it out here again. And this should be a little bit faster than what we had before. we want to make sure that if we're looking over the top of these, that each one of these actually have these little flames above them to show that they're actually doing and creating mana. Now we see these mana spreaders are getting full because they just can't, they don't shoot fast enough. So we'll probably need to make another one. It just goes to show how much faster these are actually making mana versus like these over here, which aren't even getting full from these hydros. And these are consistently making, I mean, this is a passive generation. This takes blocks of coal, but we have infinite coal with coal bees, and I'm not really too worried about it. As we see, those sucked all of those up. Those drop some coal blocks, and then once these are ready to go ahead and consume some more, it will consume it and then put it into the mana spreader. We actually might need some more mana spreaders. Now that we have 5 mana spreaders, these are actually emptying up, and that's good for me. That makes a lot more sense. So now we see we're actually making a lot more mana, which is good. If we hold that wand out, we can see that it's starting to fill up each of these pools. What do you do with mana? What can you do with mana? Well, I'll tell you what you can do with mana. You can actually make a bunch of different things. If we come over here and we type in mana inside of Botania here, we should be able to hit R here, and you can see the mana pool, and hit U, and it will show you in Mana Infusion all the different things that you can make. Like we can make Mana Steel bee eggs. I didn't know that you could do that. That's actually really, really cool. You also will need the mana to make mana diamonds, to make blocks of mana diamonds, mana glass. But the most important thing that you can make using mana is the time in a bottle. This thing's actually dope. We're gonna need 2 mana diamonds. So to make mana diamonds, you're gonna have to get some diamonds yourself, right? So clicky here, boop, boop, boop. And then when you scroll over this with that diamond, it'll tell you whether or not it can make the mana diamond. So if I throw this in here, it'll give me a mana diamond. But instead of making one at a time, if you take blocks of whatever, you can actually see that we can't make enough of these, right? Because there's not enough mana. There is a way to move mana in Botania, and you do that with something called a mana tablet. Just take some living rock and any one of either mana pearls or mana diamonds. So I'm going to take that mana diamond that I just made, and I'm going to use this to move some of the mana together. First, you need to make sure you shift right click this, and you see how the mana pool now says it's pointing towards the tablet. What this does is it basically makes it where if I throw this tablet in here, it will drain the mana from this pool, and then we can take and move it to a different one. So same thing over here. We're going to take and shift click these and throw our mana pool in, our mana tablet in until it empties up. And now that we've done that, what we want to do is make it face the other direction so that way anything in this tablet will now go into this mana pool. So once that empties up all the way, almost have a quarter of mana in this one, which is pretty good. We should be able to now take this block and throw this in here, and it will use more mana to make us whatever that we need. So now we have a block of mana diamonds, which we can break down into more mana diamonds. You could do this with iron blocks as well to make yourself mana steel. So if I take and do this right here, just throw this in here, it'll make you 9 at a time instead of having to make 1 at a time, which is pretty cool. But now I'm going to take those mana diamonds and I want to make this right here. I want to make the time in the bottle. So we're going to need a speed upgrade from bees, which we have so many of them. And we need a bottle of enchanting. This is actually very easy to make. So we need to mess with bees eventually, but we're going to grab one of these speed upgrades here. And we're going to grab an empty bottle or glass bottle here, just one. And in our factory, I'm just going to click this. And there we go, bottle of enchanting. So now I should be able to make the time in the bottle, just like this. The time in the bottle, as long as it sits in your inventory, it stores time. And you're wondering, what do you do with time? What can you do with time, right? Like, what's the purpose of putting time in a bottle? So everything in Minecraft works off of ticks, okay? So generating power, for example, it generates, let's say, 10 RF per tick, or FE or whatever per tick, right? So every tick, every 1 tick, so 20 ticks rather, is 1 second. So this basically speeds up the tick rate at which something works, and it uses time as a currency to speed it up. So to give you an example of this, let's say I put this copper in here. As we see, it's going relatively fast, giving us some more copper. But let's shove all of this copper in here, and let's take that time in the bottle and shift right click it. If we have enough power or time, we can actually speed it up by ×4 now. So as you see, it's a whole lot faster. You can go up to ×256. But you have to store time inside of it. So now that it's emptied up all of those and sped them up, we can speed this one up, but we don't have as much time. Having a little bit of shaders issues here, but as you see, it's speeding it up over time, and it goes up to ×4, and now it's much faster. This thing is broken. Like, there's a reason why the recipe calls for unobtainium and mana diamonds, because you actually have to get started in Botania, and that's kind of annoying, but realistically everything else is easy to get except for the unobtainium. Now I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, you can't make multiple time in a bottles. Like, yet they do, like if you make a second time in the bottle, it will start storing time in a second. Basically, it'll start the restart time for the other bottle. But what happens is you have a total stored time, and it doesn't matter how many bottles you have. It's just a total amount of time, and it's just going to pull from both bottles instead of just one. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The earlier that you get these, the cooler that it is, because you could speed pretty much everything up. So go out there, make yourself a time in the bottle, and have the time of your life. Well, this wraps it up for today's episode of All the Mod 7. Hopefully this helped you get started with some Botania. I'm just gonna let this run. I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is going to take a little bit of time to store some beginner Botania mana and everything. So I'm just going to kind of let this go, do its thing. Guys, if you like this episode, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to have more episodes out coming this next week. You're going to see more than just Mondays and Fridays. And I have some extra videos that I'm working on the side that should be out soon as well. So make sure you check them out. I really appreciate it. It helps the channel a ton. As always, until next episode,